Hi and welcome to today's session. Presenting today is myself. My name is Lina. I'm one of the success coaches here at Torrens University. And we're here today to talk about one of the most common challenges that I'm sure you all have experienced, or you might even currently be experiencing it on a regular basis, which I'm assuming is the reason that you're joining this workshop today. And this session is about 15 minutes long. The purpose of today is to break down and look at procrastination. What is it? Where is it coming from? And what can we do to tackle it? So what is procrastination? Well, contrary to the common belief, procrastination is not laziness. It is the act of postponing or delaying one or several tasks. And we avoid uncomfortable experiences and we replace them with something that gives us an instant sense of reward, like cleaning the house or checking our Facebook. And the reason that we act like this is because as human beings, we tend to prioritize feelings in the present, and we do things that will make us feel better right now, even if that comes at the expense of our long-term goals. If you procrastinate, you're probably quite likely to leave things for the last minute. And this in turn might cause you negative feelings such as panic or stress or guilt. Procrastination can also have you walking around feeling ashamed, guilty, spending most of your time worrying about what you should be doing without actually getting yourself to do it. And why then do we procrastinate? Well, there are several ways of looking at procrastination. What I want to start by saying is that if after today's session, you feel like there might be some more complex underlying reasons to your procrastination, it would be a great idea for you to actually book in a session with one of our campus counselors. They can help you understand your cues and they can help you understand the underlying reasons to why you procrastinate. One of the most common reasons is perfectionism, and quite closely related to that, we have fear of failure. If it is that you want to book in a session with a counselor to further break this down and to get a little bit more help with your individual procrastination, you can go to the Student Hub to find the counseling page, or you can connect with your success coach who can then connect you to the counselor. The approach that we're going to take today is viewing procrastination as pretty much the opposite of motivation. So motivation, if we look at it from an educational perspective, it could be described as the willingness to do the work. This is an equation that was put together by Piers Steele, who is a very well-known motivational author who has also written books on procrastination. So he has this model that basically sees motivations as expectancy multiplied with value, divided by impulsiveness and delay. So let's break this down a little bit. So basically what this means is expectancy, that refers to how much you expect to succeed at a task, and thereby how much you expect to get the reward that comes with completing that task. Then we got value, and the value refers to how much you enjoy doing the task and also how much you will enjoy getting the reward. Quite unsurprisingly, the higher the expectancy and the higher the value, the less likely you are to procrastinate. Impulsiveness refers to your tendency to get distracted by other things, and delay is referring to the time lapse until you receive that anticipated reward after you've completed the task. So tackling procrastination with a solution-focused approach within this context, what we want to do, and you can see this on these arrows here, is we want to maximize the expectancy and the value, and at the same time, we want to minimize the impulsiveness and the delay. So how do we do this? And this is when we are going to come and dig into a couple of strategies that you can use for tackling procrastination. The first one is to break down the task. So by doing this, you increase the expectancy that we just talked about on this last slide. So not only by deciding what you're going to study, but also deciding how long you're going to study for and actually when you will finish studying. So setting clear times, for example, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Doing this will make it easier for you to start. And another thing that you can do just to get started is by starting with something that you like or something that seems like it's a little bit more easy to comprehend. So if you're looking at your blackboard, for example, and you've got several chapters of text that need to be read, you can start with something that's 5 pages in comparison to 35, for example. And another thing that you can do is to set your goal to a little bit less than what you're actually capable of achieving. And this is again to increase the expectancy that we talked about. Let's say, for example, that you had set a goal of studying for 2 hours every day of the week. What you then could do instead is say, I'm going to study 30 minutes, 5 days a week. So basically, it makes it easier to start. And you might find that once you've started, if you have that 30-minute goal, 30-minute might come and you might, decide to keep on studying. And regardless, you will establish the habit and you will get that sense of accomplishment after you finish, regardless of how long that session is. Another thing that you can do is put your focus on the process over the product. And this, again, to increase the expectancy that we talked about. So this could mean, for example, that instead of setting a goal where you're saying, today, I will finish this assessment, you might instead say, today, I will work on reading the literature for this assessment. And I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow and the day after that. So that just means putting, the process over the product, which takes the bar down a little bit again. And this is where you can use what we call the Pomodoro technique. And all you need for the Pomodoro technique is either a phone or a watch with a timer. And here is what you do. You set your timer for 25 minutes or 45 minutes, just a time frame that suits you. Then all you have to do until the alarm goes off is to focus on the task that you have decided. For example, going back to the last example, I'm going to work on assessment 1 and the literature incorporated for that. When the time is up and when the alarm rings, you have a break. You can reward yourself, have a little snack or take a walk. And then after you've had your break, 5 to 10 minutes, you set the timer for another Pomodoro. And then remember that being consistent is always the key to maintain motivation. So make it a habit to sit down and open Blackboard or open your computer every day. So just that physical habit of completing that action, of getting into that routine, that will lead to consistency, which eventually will make it a habit. And that's where you get your routine. And that's going to increase the expectancy as well. Going back to that motivation equation that we talked about how we want to minimize the impulsiveness and the delay for motivation. So distractions will increase the impulsiveness. That can be things such as, checking Facebook or watching TV or playing with your dog. So make sure that you are completely free of distractions, that you log out from everything that could be distracted, maybe even put your phone on a flight mode, and try to minimize the distractions by creating a study space that's assigned just for that, preferably clutter-free. And I want to emphasize the clutter-free aspect because there has been research showing that clutter prevents you from concentrating to your best capacity. If you can't remove the distractions from yourself, try the opposite and try to remove yourself from the distractions. This could mean going to the library, going to campus, or even just going outside. And you can also experiment with possibly listening to some study music, something instrumental to get you into the mindset of studying. As an example, I did a master's degree a few years ago, and I had a playlist of just instrumental lo-fi hip hop that I listened to. To this day, if I put on that playlist, I actually still feel like studying. So it can go that way as well, which is fantastic if that does happen. And then for this last slide, we're going back again to that equation where we had value as one of the things. How much will you value actually finishing the task that you started? So this final strategy is all about the reward. Very, very simple, basic, I guess, psychology. And what you can try to do to increase your value is to give yourself a reward after you complete the task. So this could be something like, you know, having a nice meal, or having a date with your friends, or, you know, having a snack, anything that you might enjoy. But you can only have this reward after you've completed what you decided to complete. So these are the strategies that we've had today. So the first one is to break it down. Second one is to focus on the process of the product. Third strategy is to minimize the distractions. Remove yourself from the distractions if you can't remove the distractions from yourself. And the last strategy was to treat yourself. Thanks so much for listening in to this today. And as mentioned, if you have any more, questions, or if you want to look into why you procrastinate, the Success Coach is a good first point of contact. We can connect you with a counselor, or we can help you with goal setting and with how we can create an increased motivation for you in your life specifically.